Can you share with us any updates about the families of those who were killed? I mean, it's not that long ago. It was only a little more than a year ago. And the documentary must have been pretty wrenching, I would
Mm,
have thought, for
yeah,
them.
yeah.
Um, what, uh, what, how do they view it now? What have they, how have they tried to capture the legacy of their children?
Yeah. I'd like to first acknowledge some of the family members of Jay and Lauren, who I think are on this call now. And I can't imagine the pain that they are dealing with. I was on maternity leave when this film came out. I was actually pregnant in Tajikistan when we were filming, and I've been a journalist for decades now. I've covered these kinds of losses over and over again. And I think intellectually, I understood what losing a child, must mean. Um, but there's a completely different awareness of that now that I am a mother myself. And I happened to be in California on maternity leave when the Hulu documentary was going to air, and I knew that Lauren's family lived in California, and so I asked permission to come see them a couple of days before, and I actually went with my son, with my baby, specifically so that I could tell them that, that uh, I thought I understood, what you're going through. I still don't, but I cannot imagine the pain that you're going through now. And I have to say that especially Lauren Gagan's family, they are they are just light, like I don't know how people who are dealing with something so horrible are able to not express hatred towards the people who did this. They have created a number of scholarships in Lauren's name at her high school at Georgetown, where she was a university student. There's talk of possibly creating something for Tajik students, and so they're, in the midst of this indescribable pain, they are trying they are trying to do good, and I find that quite remarkable.
Um, I found it amazing that the night before they were killed, when they slept, they camped on some farmland in a village, in a nearby village, um, that they had written a note to the farmer. Um, Now, moments like this, obviously, you can't script when you go out and do reporting in the field. Were you kind of amazed to stumble across what seemed like just, one gem after the other when you got on the ground and started to report and started to film?
I mean, yes, I thought that I, singly, be sure to jump in here too as well. I could not believe just the amount of documentary richness, that came across, and I think that also speaks to who this young couple was. One of Lauren's friends had this quote that went into my print story, which was where she said, "Lauren was not just a good person. She was a person that was exceptionally good at connecting with others in a way that I think would have been exhausting for myself and for anybody else." And this comes through where, they're on a bike ride around the world. They're staying at these campsites for not very long, but time and again, we would run into people who had had this fleeting interaction with them and yet were somehow touched by them, like this farmer who couldn't even speak their language and had kept this piece of paper that they had written. I recognized their handwriting, where they had just written him basically a thank you note, to say thank you for hosting us in your orchard the night before they died.